So you know something I think Mojang really needs to do? So I want to pinpoint what I think is a problem with villager trading. And this is part of a bigger like recommendation that I think I'm going to give at some point. Like maybe a feedback document or something that we do. They make villager trading very desirable. Like villager trading, generally speaking, is really nice. It's incredibly nice. So much so that you really want to make a crap load of villagers to get a good variety of all of the trades. Herein lies the problem. Is I like all of the trades and I want more and more of the trades. Some people go to the extreme with this and they'll make, you know, dozens or hundreds of villagers, maybe in a couple different areas of their base. Or other people maybe don't make as many villagers as they really want because it like causes too much lag and it takes up too much space. Hey, thanks for the $2 super chat. There's a balance to be struck here though, right? When we talk about like this whole thing. So I don't like that it takes so many villagers to get like decent stuff. And to get the variety of stuff you need. Like I need 20 something of these librarians just to get all of my trades. And then on top of that, like what if I want to trade for, what if I want a few to trade for glass and a few to trade for bookshelves and a few to trade for lanterns, right? You're going to need a lot of villagers. You might need 30 plus like at least about 30 librarians alone. 30 librarians all on their own. Then when you talk about all of the other trading professions and the decent stuff you can get from them, like the stone cutters, like the cleric, the armorers, like all of this stuff, right? If you really want to interact with villager trading in a meaningful way, you're going to need 80 plus villagers. We actually have 80 here, right? Between these guys, the guys down here, we have not set yet, but we're going to. Oh, and then farmers, right? You want plenty of them for trading melons and pumpkins and all that kind of stuff, right? I set different villages for different professions to minimize lag. So this is what I think they should do. And let me like kind of bundle this whole idea together. I think villagers themselves need more trades available. Cubfan actually touched on this a little bit in one of his what was that series called? The series where he did like these like Minecraft suggestions. It was a pretty good series. I watched all of it. Villagers I think need more trades, and they need trades to be tiered in a certain way. And this could probably be applied to all of them. But like when you talk about librarians, for example, like every librarian should be guaranteed to have like 4 books or something, 4 different books. I'd maybe even put one all the way up here at tier 5 or something like that. Like a second one up here, a second trade at tier 5 and make it another book. And then each tier, did Cubfan recommend this? I can't remember, but it's something I thought about too. Each tier should have its own list of books that can be found in it. So you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then tier 4, right? And then specific books are in each tier, and none of the tiers overlap. So you would have like your lower level tier of books up here, and then your second tier, your third tier, your fourth tier, and you would spread them kind of evenly, and you'd put the most desired stuff in the highest tier. Think efficiency 5, unbreaking 3, mending, protection 4, etc., etc. And then the next most desirable would go in the third tier, then the second tier, then the first tier. This would make it easy to find the enchantments that you want as you re-roll. It would also make it easy to be like, hey, like I'm early game, I just want to get like Fortune 1, and like you could just find it like in the first book and be good. Second of all, you guys know I use the like see all trades thing, right? I think that should just be a default. I think you should just be able to see all the trades that a villager has, rather than making somebody go through, let me see what's in the first block, the first thing, and then I'm gonna chance it and see if the rest of the villager is garbage. Just let somebody see all of the trades that the villager is going to eventually have. I think that's fair. Also, get rid of breaking the profession block and replacing it to reset the trades. Give me a reset trades button and make it cost something to use the button. Make it charge me an emerald or multiple emeralds, or make it charge me lapis, or I don't like the idea of charging XP or level, so I wouldn't do that. But like make it charge me something to reset the trades. And then I can just click the button to reset the trades, and then I can decide if I've spent too much to do it or not. Okay. Apply the same logic to all villager trades. Maybe in different ways, but like apply the same logic to all villager trades in some way, shape, or form. Next, I would make it so some trades can be traded more. But I would have like an increased cost as you trade. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Maybe for stuff that you trade to get emeralds. Let's say like this guy right here, right? And I have him discounted. It's 1 pumpkin for 1 emerald, right? So maybe I can trade it at 1 for 1 at the discounted rate. We're here. Let's take it out of discounts really quick. Let's look at when it's not discounted. Farmer, 6 pumpkins for an emerald, 4 melons for an emerald. And I think usually you can trade what, like 12 or so times, and then the trade locks. Let's eliminate locking of trades, and instead let's do increasing price as you go over certain breakpoints. So you go through the first 12 at the default price, the 6, the 4. And then the next however many, maybe 6 trades, 12 trades, whatever feels balanced. I don't have the number. This price instantly increases after you hit that breakpoint. And then it goes from 6 to 10, let's say. And then after you hit that next breakpoint, it goes from 10 to 16. And then you hit another, and then what you do is you keep hitting breakpoints up to a maximum amount. So what that would allow me to do as the player, and it actually incentivized me to do as the player, is first I'm going to want to discount all my villagers. So I would bring this down to 1, right? And then the next breakpoint would say be 2, and then the next breakpoint would be 4 or 6, and then 12, and then like it would go up, but it would still be a pretty decent amount less. And then let's say the highest breakpoint for a non discounted villager is 64, right? And then the last breakpoint for a discounted villager would still be pretty high. Maybe it'd be like 32 or something. Okay. They already do inflated, and the max trades don't last very long. No, I think you're wrong. Here, let me explain better. The way that it works now is you max out a trade, and then the villager like will reset overnight. So you wait till the next Minecraft day, and then the price goes up, and then that price will stay up for a while. Like what? Like a couple Minecraft days or something like that. Somebody can drop the exact mechanics, but I know I'm roughing it here. Right now, you trade the max number of 12, 16, whatever it is. Villager sells out. You can no longer trade with that villager until the next day. The villager resets his trades. The price goes up. And then the price will go down after a couple of in-game days. 2 days, 3 days, something like that. So you have to wait like an hour, let's say. 20 minutes to you have to wait roughly an hour before the trade price goes back down, and the trade price jumps up fairly significantly. And I think what it has like two tiers or something like that above or something like that. Okay. Anyways, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you eliminate locking out of trades. There is now there would be no way to lock out a trade. Instead, the price increase happens in the moment at the break point. So I would trade 12 pumpkins and then immediately the price jumps up to the next tier. And then I would trade another X amount of pumpkins, whether it be 12 or a different number. And then it would immediately jump up at the tier in price. And there could be 4 or 5 different tiers. And then the highest price for a discounted villager would be some predetermined amount that's pretty high. And then the highest price for a non-discounted villager would max at a stack, because I don't think you could go more than a stack, just the way that the interface works. This is what this would do, okay? In the early to mid and even early late game, you would still probably only trade through 1 or 2 max cycles, okay? Because you don't have infinite supply to trade. So I would trade the pumpkins until maybe it goes up to, 4 pumpkins per emerald. And then at that point, I'm going to say, you know what? Like, I can't really afford to do more because I'm going to be wasting my pumpkins. That would not make villagers casual friendly? No, it would, because it wouldn't change. Wait, it wouldn't change the casual friendliness at all, because the prices would still go down after, like, kind of the way they do now. Like, let's say every Minecraft day, the price tier, or let's say twice a Minecraft day. Either way, it doesn't matter. We would have to figure out what's balanced, and maybe different villagers have different balance. With Prowl's pumpkin farm, you'll have unlimited supply. So hold on to that thought, okay? So let's say once a Minecraft day, they will drop 1 tier in price, okay? Or if that ends up not feeling balanced, it could be a different number. But just for example's sake, every Minecraft day, they drop 1 tier in price. So you could go through, tier this guy up to 5 different times. But if you want to, just like you do today, you could trade 1 full round at like 1 for 1 or 6 for 1 if you don't have them discounted. And then when his price does the increase, if you don't want to pay the increased price, you wait the Minecraft day, you go to sleep, and you wake up in the morning and the price has gone back down a tier. So it remains very casual friendly because you can trade just like you do today. But maybe, again, I was saying earlier, maybe you have some more trades available, which may or may not make sense depending on what profession it is, but you would have more trades available. Like, I'm thinking stuff like the stonecutter villagers, right? That trade you terracottas. Like, maybe instead of only having 1 out of 32 different terracottas available, maybe they should have like 4 of them, different ones available or something. I don't know. But anyways, you would have another option. You would have an end game option. Your end game option, let's say I've reached the end game and I have a fast melon and pumpkin farm, really fast. With my really fast melon and pumpkin farm, I can come over here with shulker boxes full of melons and pumpkins. And I have 2 options. I can do the annoying thing and fill my whole inventory with 64 pumpkins all the way across. And then I can just trade until this guy gets up to max. And I can keep trading, right? But if I keep trading, I'm trading 32 pumpkins per emerald. 32 pumpkins per emerald at that max. Now, I can choose to do that if I want to, but think about what that means. Each slot holds, let's say there's 27 slots in a shulker box. Let's say you fill 20, like, we'll just do a shulker. Let's say you have 27 stacks of pumpkins in a shulker box. And for each of those stacks, you get 2 emeralds because 32 pumpkins equals 1 emerald because we've maxed out price. That means a whole shulker box full will only even get you a stack of emeralds. A whole shulker box full of pumpkins, or any other example you want to give based on what you're trading, iron, whatever, right? A whole shulker box full will only give you less than a stack of emeralds. I think if you allowed people trade infinitely at that rate, some people will do it. Some people will come over here with multiple shulker boxes of pumpkins and trade, but that's not efficient to do. But you could do it. Or instead of like I have, where I have eventually I would have 15 farmers. Maybe instead of me needing to have 15 farmers to feel like I get some kind of value at trading, if that's what I want to do, maybe instead I would only have like 5. And then I would take all of them up to the max tier or whatever tier I thought felt good. And then at that point, I leave them alone and I wait for them to reset all the way back down. Does that make sense? With that, do you guys think that that would good and beneficial? Is that something that you think that you would want to do? Because I think I would like to interact with that, because what I would end up doing, Zog, thanks for the resub, dude. Because I think about how I would play like that. I think what I would personally do is, yeah, I would make a big farm for melons and pumpkins, right? And I would come over here with a bunch of melons and pumpkins. And then I would trade until I hit like what I felt like was like a good break point for me. Maybe I take it up to that max break point and then I stop. Because at the point of trading 32 for 1, it's just the value's not there. Because then at that point, you have to sit and AFK your farm and run it a lot. You have to do a lot of loading of shulkers, or maybe you already have a shulker loader, but you still have to grab all the shulkers. You have to lay them all out. You have to go into a shulker, empty the whole thing in your inventory, and then come over here and trade the entire thing just to get less than a stack of emeralds. It doesn't feel efficient at that point, but you have the option to do it if you want to, and your villagers never locked out. On the flip side, it works in the inverse, right? I could trade and get an infinite amount of golden carrots. But again, at some point, I'm going to reach this point where it's going to cost me 32 emeralds at the full discounted price to get 3 golden carrots. Or maybe if that feels too powerful, maybe even fully discounted villagers can go all the way up to 64. It just takes them much longer to do it. And then maybe they drop their prices, like drop those tiers quicker or something. I don't know. Like, I can have a lot of different ways of doing it. But like I could come over here and I could trade and buy a whole bunch of, I could go to a stonecutter and buy a whole bunch of whatever, right? Quartz. But I would be spending 32 or 64 emeralds per like one trade of the quartz blocks. I don't remember how much you get when you trade. Is it like 4 or something? So again, you could make like a super duper powerful raid farm, right? And you can make a raid farm that gets you shulkers full of emeralds or even emerald blocks, which then means that yes, you can technically, you know, not infinitely, but in mass quantity, go to a stonecutter dude and you can just buy a crap load of quartz blocks. You can keep buying them. But at the point where when you get to this point where it's costing you 32 or 64 emeralds for 4 quartz blocks, it becomes less efficient to do the trading, because A, you need to go and run your raid farm again, and B, you have to take those emerald blocks that you brought over, you have to craft them down into emeralds, and then you have to click and trade and trade and trade, and there's just a lot of like clicking back and forth, and you're basically just erasing your emeralds at that point. So you could do it, but it does become inefficient. There's a relatively small game window where emeralds are relevant in my experience. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of my points, Papa Snuffy, is emeralds do very quickly become irrelevant. I don't have a raid farm, and emeralds are irrelevant to me right now. I don't need, nor do I really want a raid farm, at least for emeralds, because look, I've just been doing villager trading just to get levels periodically over time. And like, I have all these stacks of emerald blocks that I will never use. I have no reason to use them. Now, eventually we're going to get set up with a bunch of stone cutters, right? And I'll be trading for, you know, whatever, quartz and terracotta and stuff. But that's so many emeralds. They're kind of like, they don't have meaning anymore. So yeah, but totems, I mean, I go through totems so seldomly. Like, I can just fight a couple of raids, get, you know, 10 totems, and like, I'm good for a really long time. But beacons aren't the thing. Yeah, but I mean, I also have infinite iron down there too. So imagine a world where instead, if you have like, think about a situation like mine where I've accumulated a bunch of emeralds, or I've built a raid farm and I have a good income of emeralds coming in. Now I have a way to spend them, right? If I have an excess of emeralds and I just have like stacks and stacks of emerald blocks piling up for no reason, like I'm not using them and I don't have a use for them, I could decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to this, I guess I'm going to keep using the stonecutter as an example. I'm going to keep going to this mason, and I'm just going to max out on, what you call it? On quartz blocks. So I just really need them right now, and I have the emeralds to burn anyways, right? I could do that. It gives you a way to spend all the emeralds if you want to, is I guess my point. Whereas you can't really do that now. Now, as a final balance piece, if Mojang feels like, and they might, and I think I would maybe agree with it, that some things need a limit. I'll give you a good example. I think would be a good example, although maybe it's not. Maybe stuff that's already kind of priced high and it doesn't have room to tier up a lot, like these guys, right? Or like enchanted books. Maybe some stuff does end up with a hard cap. Maybe you can't buy infinite diamond chest plates, or maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe you can't buy infinite books because it's one book for 64 emeralds and you never really need a lot. I don't know. So maybe some things can cap out. Like I'm open to that if there's certain things that feel like, hey, like this is broken if you can do this. So this should have a hard cap on it. We don't want people to be able to get an infinite amount of diamond armor. So instead we're going to hard cap that. I'm okay with that if there's some things. But I think generally speaking, this implementation of villager trading would be so much better. But I can build with emeralds at that point. What do you mean? No, well, first of all, nobody builds with emeralds because they're ugly. I mean, I've used them as accent pieces before, but like you don't build with emeralds. But like, yeah, like I just like the option. It opens up a player option in a balanced way that doesn't break the game. And then one of the main like side benefits of this is you don't need as many villagers. I won't feel like I need 20 masons to be able to like get a decent amount of quartz blocks and terracotta on demand at my base. I could maybe have like 5 of them and feel like I get enough. You know what I mean? That's kind of like my purpose behind the idea. About giving villagers a lifespan? No, I don't like that. Nobody wants to have to reset up villagers. That's not I don't think that's a good idea. I could see that being a fun like mod or something maybe. But yeah, I think that would be a really good idea. This is something I might like fully flesh out in like a feedback document one day that we do. And we'll like send off to Mojang. I'd have to think about it for each profession and come up with like maybe more specific breakpoints or something. That'd be what I would do. But that's okay for the more experienced player. But for those who want to push themselves, they need extra resources. Well, I think that's why I like this, right? Here's another reason I like it. It gives you more purpose to build big farms that generate a lot of stuff, right? What do you typically do with a melon and pumpkin farm after you make it? Like a good melon and pumpkin farm after you make it? You'll maybe like get a shulker of melons and pumpkins to bring over to trade, and it takes forever to go through them. If that's what you're doing, right? It takes forever at a 1-for-1 trade to go through them. But if I had this tiered system where I could keep trading without interruption, I might periodically go and just empty out my melon and pumpkin farm and then come over here and just trade them all because I have them to trade anyways. So why not blast through and just convert them all into emeralds? you know, and then take those emeralds and convert them all into something else that I can use. It's like, it would be, this is what it is. It creates a good economy system. I think it creates a really, really good economy. Like a single player economy with the villagers, a villager economy. Like, the more I think about it, the more I really like the idea. You could apply it to any farm, right? It could be sticks with Fletchers. It could be whatever. It could be anything you want it to be. It could be trading beef with the butcher, like whatever. I think it creates an interesting economy system to where if the player wants to, they can play the game. They could play an economic version of Minecraft, right? Where instead of like going to the nether, if you don't want to go to the nether and get a bunch of quartz to make quartz blocks to build with, you could instead set up infrastructure at home to buy all the quartz blocks that you want. But it's going to take considerable, actually, maybe more work than it would to just go to the nether and collect the quartz there. You know what I mean? So you're saying that it's a mean to actually keep up using farms rather than setting it up, getting what they want. And yeah, it serves multiple purposes. Yes. It gives you a way to use all of the stuff in your farms. So it gives the farms more purpose. It gives you more of a reason to build the farm. And then it gives you a means of using the stuff that your farms produce, because right now, almost all of us, myself easily included, we make the farm, we run it for a day or a couple of days, and we never need to run it again for most farms. That would discourage exploration? No, not really. I mean, it could. But like, Mojang shouldn't force exploration. They just need to give enough good reasons to explore, right? So like, let's say this discourages exploration for getting quartz, but the exploration occurs in the nether, and the nether has other incentives for exploration. You still have to go there to get wither skeleton skulls to make a wither to get a beacon. You still have to go there to get the crimson and warped mushroom things to and the netherrack, the nylium, to grow the trees in the overworld. Like, you still have reasons to explore there. That's why the nether update was considered such a good update. You have reason to explore and to go there. So taking away one or two of those reasons doesn't negate the exploration of that. The things that don't have a reason to explore and go to are usually like individual biomes inside of the game. And I don't like, this wouldn't do any of that, right? Like, let's think of here's a good example, Nastana. Think of Badlands. You get terracotta at the Badlands, right? If you could trade to get the terracotta that you want from the Mason villagers through this method, you could get a decent amount of terracotta, okay? For some players that don't need a ton of terracotta, that would probably be enough to make them not go to the Badlands. If somebody needs a lot of terracotta, like I've had projects that I've done that I need shulker boxes full of terracotta, I'm still going to go to the Badlands for that, even with this villager trading system, because for that quantity of terracotta, it just makes sense to go there. Also, the Badlands have other stuff, right? They have the red color sand. They have more gold underground. Like, there's other reasons, but like at the end of the day, it's just the biome. So you give the player a choice. The player then has a choice. Hey, especially think about it this way too. If I, let's say in this world right now, I don't have or know about or want to use chunk base. I want to find everything naturally. Well, I'm lucky. I know that there's a Badlands right over there. It's kind of close by. But in a brand new world, it's extremely possible, if not likely, that a Badlands could be 10,000 plus blocks away. and you would have zero way of finding that Badlands unless you use a tool or you get the elytra and you literally fly for hours and you might find one. So is that fair to do to the player? Think of the uninformed, think of the average player. Think of the player that does not look stuff up or does not want to have to look stuff up. That player wants to build with terracotta. Do you want to make them search for a Badlands forever to maybe not find one and then have to change their plan and not build with terracotta? Or do you want the player that maybe just doesn't know everything about Minecraft and doesn't know that the Badlands even exists to just never find an experience to be able to use terracotta in the first place outside of the limited amount that they can get through current villager trading? Or do you want to give players a choice where players can buy a crap load of terracotta if they want to, but to be able to buy terracotta in mass quantity to the point where they don't need to go to a Badlands, they would have to get out of here. They would have to, I see he's ruining my whole rant. Go away. I'll do it. You want to give the player a choice to say, hey, instead of going to a Badlands or having to find a Badlands, he's back again. Instead of having to go to a Badlands or find a Badlands, instead, if you want to, you can build a raid farm and AFK it for a long time, get a bunch of emeralds, and just throw away emeralds into a trader to get a bunch, or build a melon and pumpkin and crop farm and just throw away melons and pumpkins from the super efficient farm that you had to first build to then trade to get the terracotta. So I think that's a fair trade, because if you look at time investment to do one versus the other, it would actually be quicker. Let's say I want a bunch of terracotta right now. What's faster for me to do? To just go to the biome and just mine up terracotta for like an hour, fill several shulker boxes full, and I have all I need? Or set up several mason villagers, set up a farm to get a bunch of emeralds, trade to get those emeralds, and then take the emeralds and trade those to get the terracotta. You see what I'm saying? It's actually a slower process to do it that way, but it gives you the option of not doing it that way if you want to. I think it would bring a really nice balance to the game, personally. So yeah. And one of the other points is just to make it easier, right, to find the trades that you want and have less villagers to find it. Instead of having to, let's say I wanted to get every color terracotta, and let's say I wanted glazed and non-glazed. There's 32 options there. 64. Okay, well, I'll have extra. It's fine. Instead of having to have 64 different villagers to do that, to get one round of trades for it, I could instead, like, let's say out of the 5 different trading possibilities, let's say that 2 of those are terracotta of any color and 2 of those are glazed terracotta of any color. So I could have each villager have 4 different terracottas. So instead of needing 32 villagers for every color of terracotta, I could technically do it in 8. Can we get terracotta slabs and stairs? I mean, come on. I think they definitely should do that. I don't know why they don't.